170413.
A resolution urging the Pennsylvania Legislature to reject Senate Bill 383, which would permit school personnel to carry concealed firearms in schools.
Chair again recognizes Councilman Johnson.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to speak on this resolution before I call for the vote, please.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you, Council President. Yesterday, Council President, in Cheltenham High School, there were 4 young ladies fighting in the school hallway. During that fight, 4 young men also joined in the fight, and 8 teachers tried to break up the fight, where 2 of the teachers suffered concussions and 1 was actually knocked out. And as I watched the news last evening, we kept seeing the clips of these young people fighting and this teacher being knocked out. And so today I am calling on our House, the General Assembly of Pennsylvania, specifically the Senate, to reject Bill 383. During a report, the Pennsylvania Senate and the House both studied the issue of allowing school personnel to carry firearms and found it not advisable. The Pennsylvania House Select Committee on School Safety explicitly stated in 2014 that it did not recommend arming general school personnel. In the same report, testimony from state agencies, law enforcement groups, education groups, and district attorneys led the Select Committee to recommend that only school police officers or security officers be armed on school property. An advisory committee on violence prevention formed at the direction of the state Senate echoed the same conclusions of the House Select Committee when it wrote in its 2014 report, police officers undergo extensive training in the use of their weapons and teachers do not. Therefore, it is unreasonable to expect a teacher to have the same firearms competency as a law enforcement officer and not sound policy to assign such responsibility to a teacher. And so if you watch the video yesterday, and I remember in my district at John Bartram High School, another teacher was knocked out, it just shows how this particular bill, if passed, will put all children and teacher and school personnel in harm's way. Although a person may have the right to carry an arm and they may be certified, they may not be able to defend themselves in an environment that may be hostile when a fight starts. And who's to say if a young person have a mental health issue or a young person just totally knock the teacher out and take their gun. And so I just want to ask for affirmative vote from all of my colleagues in rejecting Senate Bill 383. We understand that people have a right to carry firearms, and I recognize it, but we want to use common sense. In this particular case, this isn't common sense. I think it put more people in harm than it would as it relates to keeping our young people safe. Thank you, Councilman, Council President, and I move for the adoption of the resolution. Second.
Thank you. It's been
Thank you,
moved.
Council President.
Thank you, Councilman. It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. Resolution 170413 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 170418.
A resolution initiating action to continue the Mount Airy Business Improvement District beyond its termination date in an area that generally includes both sides of Germantown Avenue from 6300 to 7631 and certain blocks of streets that intersect that portion of Germantown Avenue, for which Mount Airy Improvement District, Inc., a Pennsylvania nonprofit corporation, serves as the Neighborhood Improvement District Management Association.
Chair recognizes Councilwoman Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. And Resolution 170418 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 170120.
A resolution reappointing Pat LaBelle to the Board of Directors to the Old City Special Services District.
Chair recognizes Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption.
Been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. Resolution 170120 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 170121.
A resolution reappointing Timothy Snowden to the Board of Directors for the Old City Special Services District.
Chair recognizes Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the resolution.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor? Those opposed, ayes have it. 170121 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 170122.
A resolution appointing Danielle Del Rey to the Board of Directors for the Old City Special Services District.
Chair again recognizes Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. 170122 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 170123.
A resolution appointing Patrick Schillen to the Board of Directors for the Old City Special Services District.
Chair recognizes Councilman Squilla.
I move for the adoption.
Been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. And 170123 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 170124.
A resolution appointing Mary Hummel to the Board of Directors for the Old City Special Services District.
And one last time, Chair recognizes Councilman Squilla.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. 170124 is adopted. Mr. Decker, 170140.
An ordinance to amend the Philadelphia zoning maps by changing the zoning designations of certain areas of land located within an area bounded by Girard Avenue, 9th Street, Brown Street, 8th Street, Spring Garden Street, and Broad Street.
Chair recognizes Councilman Greenlee.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to offer an amendment on your behalf to Bill Number 170140. A copy of the amendment has been circulated to all members of council, and I move for the adoption of the amendment.
The motion for 170140 has been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. Bill number 170140 has been amended. It will be placed on our second reading and final passage calendar at our next session of council. Mr. Decker, 160010.
An ordinance amending Chapter 200 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Recording of Deeds to provide for further action by the Department of Records in cases where the department reasonably suspects that a deed has been mistakenly recorded and that a fraudulent transfer of the real property described therein has occurred.
This bill has been heard on two separate days. The question is, shall the bill pass finally? Mr. Decker, call the roll.
Councilwoman Bass, Councilwoman Blackwell, Councilman Dom, Councilman Green, Councilman Greenlee, Councilwoman Gim, Councilman Heenan, Councilman Johnson, Councilman Jones, Councilman O'Neill, Councilman O, Councilwoman Parker, Councilwoman Corona Sanchez, Councilwoman Reynolds Brown, Councilman Squilla, Councilman Taubenberger, Council President Clark.